Welcome, welcome, welcome to our next episode of Ministry on Mission. I am Dr. Tomesha Walker, and I'm so excited to be here with you. We have an amazing guest this week. Woo! Listen, y'all know we always bring awesome people that pour into your lives, that make change within the community, and are literally making change within the world. So we're excited to introduce to you today the mission of justice. Oh, how amazing is that? So, we're going to dig more into that with our special guest today. But of course, I have to tell you guys about our amazing, amazing, amazing co host. So, welcome, Dr. Anita.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ministry on Mission. I love co hosting with you, Dr. Walker. It's been such a pleasure. All of these episodes, we've had amazing guests. It's been so much fun and it's been very insightful, like more than I imagined. So today is just another good day. We have Jessica Alvis Esquire with us today. I'm very, very excited to talk to her. I'm looking forward to this conversation. So let me tell you some about her. She is a community woman, okay? A graduate from Garfield Heights High School, and then a graduate from law school at John Carroll and Cleveland State College of Law. She's not only a member of her community, but she is committed to serving her community, which those principles and values of public service were instilled to her as a child. She grew up in Ohio. She was trained as a legal secretary. Then she started working as a legal assistant. Then she became a licensed attorney, working for as director of court services. And she did so much to help our city that, a lot of people in this field just we don't even know who they are a lot of times. And so she gained so much experience working as a county prosecutor and as assistant prosecuting attorney. She has been doing so much volunteer work as a community service, helping with Akron's Community Legal Aid Services, helping with Cuyahoga County Juvenile Detention Center, Big Brothers, Big Sisters program, and the 3Rs program of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, and a devoted Sunday school teacher and youth mentor at church. So we are so excited to welcome to you the stage, Jessica Alvis. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for that warm welcome. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we are delighted to have you. We are so excited to have you. I know right now that you are currently running for judge. How exciting is that? Judge of the Garfield Heights Municipal Courts. What made you want to do that?
Yes, so I am a judicial candidate for judge of Garfield Heights Municipal Court. And my decision to run for judge really, I would say, is God inspired. I really felt led to. I was in a lot of prayer in my decision before making that choice because when you run for any type of office, political office, you open your life to the public. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time, money. And this is something that I felt led to do. I felt that God was saying that He wanted to use my life in this way. So, like I said, I didn't take it lightly. It was a very serious decision for me to decide. I believe that in running, there is a work for me to do. I believe that there are people that are assigned for me to help. And I'm really looking forward to having that opportunity when I'm sitting on the bench as judge. Um, this is not something new to me because service, as you said, Dr. Anita, is something that has been in my life since I was a child. My father was a pastor growing up. My sister was a social worker growing up, and she's older than me, so I observed that. My grandparents were foster parents. So we come from a family of service. But I now see this as an opportunity for me to expand that into the courtroom in another magnitude and on a deeper level. So that's why I'm running. I'm really excited about the lives that I will be able to touch and the things that I will be able to do when I'm elected. So as I stated, I am running for judge of Garfield Heights Municipal Court. If you live in Garfield Heights, Maple Heights, Cuyahoga Heights, Brecksville, Newburgh Heights, Valley View, Walton Hills, or Independence, I will be on your ballot this November. So you will be able to vote yes for Jess. And hopefully we can get someone in who has a true heart, passion for the community.
That's fantastic. I love how you said that it's something that you feel like you've been called to, like it's something that you are now doing because you feel like it's something that God wants you to do. And I think that's important. Here at Ministry on Mission, we try to tie those two things together, right? We tell people to start their ministry and finish their mission. And so, what would you say is your life's mission? What are you ultimately trying to accomplish?
Well, that's such a good question. Life mission. Those are the deep questions that we ask. I definitely believe that one of my life missions is to be a blessing. I think that God has called me to serve others, whether that's serving in my church, um, service in my job. So we look at my career. I committed my career to legal service. So, Dr. Anita, you talked about my work as a county prosecutor. When I was a county prosecutor, I worked with the Children and Family Service Unit. I worked with the Child Support Unit. So I worked with ensuring justice for children in Cuyahoga County. Um, After there, I went and I worked as a judicial staff attorney and as a personal bailiff at a local housing court. And so day in and day out, I saw individuals facing evictions and landlords trying to secure their properties. And these are issues that face everyday people. And we need compassion in that work. And we also have to be able to uphold the law in that work to ensure that justice is fulfilled and that the outcome is fair and impartial in any setting. So, the service that you talked about, that you asked about, not only started, how I was raised, but also it moved into my career. I made a conscious decision to do public service work. And now, my current job, I'm the director of court services for a domestic relations court, and I absolutely love my job. I absolutely love my job. I get to go into work every day and help everyday people. The people that I get to help are people who are facing very difficult situations. Usually they're coming to me because they're facing a divorce or they are losing custody of their children or trying to gain custody of children who are in abusive or harmful situations, or it's a child support issue, which can also be very stressful if you can't live, if you're paying something, a child support order that's so great that you're not able to survive, or if you're the mother caring for children and you're not getting the support that you need to properly take care of that family. So these are the issues that typically come before me on a daily basis. And in my role as director of court service, I get to work directly with those people. There's a lot of tissue in my office because a lot of times it's tears. A lot of times it's at the moment of breakdown. And I have to be able to help them navigate through that to get through the process of completing their filing. So if you need a divorce, if you're in a domestic violence situation and you come into my help center and you indicate that, I'm connecting you with the domestic violence center. I'm walking you through the process of this is how you properly complete your paperwork. This center that I work at is for people who do not have attorneys. So you can't afford an attorney. You can come in and I think every court should have a help center because the law is daunting. It's very confusing and it can be very hard to navigate the court process.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something that when I'm elected judge, I do want to look into initiating in the communities that will be impacted by the court that I will serve is how can we get resources like a help center to serve the people in that community. And having launched one, I know the blueprint, I know how to do it. And I know where to get the money, the grants and different things like that. So that's definitely something that I would want to do. So that was a long explanation just to say that service is very important to me, not just in my church, but also in my career and in my daily life. If I can just also highlight really quickly the volunteer work, because I do it for my job, the public service, but also I've been able and blessed to serve and help local organizations throughout my career, such as you mentioned legal aid. That was a program that I really loved because it allowed me to help women who were going into hospitals to get legal service on site at the same time that they were going in to address their medical concerns through the legal aid in Akron. They had a program called HEAL. So I was really honored to be a part of that, and I did that for some time. And then one of my other, I would say, highlights of volunteering is when I was at the Juvenile Detention Center. During law school and after law school, I would go into the detention center and work with youth and teach them Black history. I would use Supreme Court cases that were decided over time to explain the importance of making wise decisions, the importance of living a way that honors what people were able to do in the past so that we could have liberties and freedoms that we have today. So I really enjoyed that. And then, like you said, I'm a youth mentor and a Sunday school teacher. Those are my passions. I love working with children and with youth. And so that's how service looks in my life.
Oh my, now you know I had to say something about that. Oh yes. The way that service looks in your life. I love how you worked with the program that you shared called HEAL. I think that is just absolutely beautiful, along with the work that you've done for families and children. But I also agree with you. Being able to have someone there to support you, to stand alongside you, there's nothing like it. In some of the most vulnerable times in your life, when you're having a baby, when you're in the hospital, right? When you need someone to come alongside you. So can you give us an instance where you just felt so needed and were able to work within the hospitals in a program like that? Like, I think our audience would love to just hear about you in action.
Definitely, yeah. So the HEAL Project, I volunteered there when I had just graduated from law school. I was waiting for my bar exam results, and I was in limbo. And I could have gotten a job, but I wanted service. So I wanted to volunteer. I figured this is a great opportunity while I'm kind of waiting to see where's my life going to go. You know, did I pass the bar exam or not? So I reached out to legal aid, and they had an internship, non-paid internship, where you could come in and learn the program. So when I was there, I learned obviously about legal aid, which if anyone doesn't know about legal aid, it is an amazing program for individuals who are lower income, who maybe can't afford that $250 an hour attorney, but they still need help. They still have issues that need to be addressed in the court system. So legal aid is a way to service those individuals. And it does such great throughout our community. So shout out to Legal Aid. And I was honored to be a part of the team, like I said, in the Akron location, and it was the HEAL program. We would go to the hospitals. Now, granted, it's been a while since I was in that transition period. I graduated law school in 2012. I passed the bar in 2013. So this was between 2012 and 2013. So I don't remember like anyone exactly. I know that I was there, but the format I can talk about. So we would go into the hospital, and that mother or woman would come in for her routine, and we would be set up in they had a conference room for us. And while the mom is getting the attention that she needed from the doctor, whether it was prenatal care or whatever, we would do a screening with her at some point when she came in for her appointment. And we would ask her basically if we could service her in any of the areas that legal aid assisted with. So we would kind of just do like a little interview at the hospital. And if she qualified or if she seemed to need any of the things that we could offer, we would get her connected with legal aid. And then we would, take on that role of attorney-client and be able to service her. So that way she's getting a wraparound service. And that's something that I believe in, that concept of addressing someone holistically.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have someone coming into court before you, or you have someone coming into your facility, why not try to address everything that you can for that individual in that one setting? So why not try to make it a place where resources are available, information is available, to help them so they're not going from this agency to the next agency to the next agency.
Mm.
And so that's something when I'm elected judge, I would really like to look into how can I make that a possibility for the people? And it could be just by offering the clinics in the community or offering educational services through the court. I think a judge is a public servant, and so a judge should be the one that is educating, or if it's not the judge directly, it's the court. So those who make up the court are in the community educating the people about the court system, about expungement, about license reinstation, about landlord-tenant issues. So when you have that person that's being evicted, they know the process. They know not to just withhold your rent if something's not right with the property, but rather put it in escrow. So that way you're protected, you know. So I guess I couldn't give you, to answer your question, a one example because it's been over 10 years since I was there. But that program impacted my life so much. I still use it as a blueprint. And so I just think the blueprint of that program can be translated into the court and into different areas.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Like I said, during one of the most vulnerable times in someone's life, but to be able to stand there with them as they are receiving what they need, but then making sure that they have all of the things that they need. And so hearing you talk about that and even reading about that in your bio, where you talk about, and how, as you mentioned before, wanting to introduce that into the community in an even greater way. Like, I'm excited to see, as you say, when you become judge, the things that you begin to do within the community as you make sure that we, the citizens, are not only heard, but are also cared for in every area of our lives, truly with wraparound services, things that are coming to help heal us in multiple areas, in multiple ways. I absolutely love that. So I've also heard you speak before concerning individuals and how we treat them and how we work towards making sure that the recidivism rate is lowered, right? So, what can you share with us about your plan and your actions, either in the paths that you've taken or for the future that you're going to do moving forward to help our communities with those issues?
Definitely, yes. Recidivism, for those who don't know what that word means, recidivism is the tendency of a person who has been convicted of a crime to commit another crime. So it's this revolving door concept. It's this idea of you've committed this crime, you've committed a harm to society, you've gone to jail, or you've paid the fine, or you've gone on community control. And even after that, you come right back out into the community and you're committing either the same or similar crime. So the focus then should be, in my opinion, on how to reduce that. So I feel like if you're in any branch of government, whether it is the legislature, the executive or judicial branch, um, in my opinion, your goal should be, how can what I'm doing in my role help to help society? And one of the ways in helping society is reducing crime. And so in the judicial system, because and I want to put emphasis on that it's not just one system's job to do, because it's impossible. So we need the mayors, we need the council people, we need the people who write the laws on board with this as well, because it all works together. But in the judicial system, one of the ways that we can help to reduce that crime, that repetition of crime, is by setting up some type of specialty docket. And many courts have this in place, and I do think that they are effective. So there are three that I tend to focus on. One is the mental health docket. So basically what that's saying is the court would create a special caseload for people who are diagnosed with a mental illness. Having had a brother who was diagnosed with bipolar, I understand how important that is, because you cannot go through your caseload with someone who has a mental health issue in the same way that you would with someone who doesn't. There's different things that they will be facing, different issues that will come up, and different things that need to be addressed with that particular defendant. So that's taking that holistic view of that person. A mental health docket focuses rather on jail and punishment, and really it focuses on treatment, because the end goal is we want to get you stabilized. We want to get you on your mental health medication, so that hopefully when you're back into society, you're not making the same choice that you made when you were not stabilized. And maybe it may not be medication, but maybe it's something that you need to help you get stable. Another court court system is drug court. I already have experience with this when I was a county prosecutor. I was a prosecutor that would handle the drug court cases. And in there, I saw that you cannot treat individuals who are addicted to drugs in the same way that you would treat a defendant who was not, because their choices are the reason why they make the choices that they make are different. They are addicted. They are an addict. It is a sickness, and it needs to be treated as such. And so you need a different court where you can align them with substance abuse counselors, where you can align them with getting them in inpatient treatment, out-of-patient treatment. That takes more time than a regular docket. So you need to carve out those specialty courts. Another one is veteran court. A lot of our veterans are suffering from PTSD. They often face homelessness after they are out of the service. There's a lot of struggles that they encounter. And I think that the court should take a step back and evaluate that and take that into consideration when it is addressing those particular defendants. So those are just 3 examples of how a court could address recidivism. And so basically what it does is it stops that cycle because it provides treatment. So instead of sending them to jail, they get out and they were never treated for the substance abuse. They were never treated for the mental health. And so then they get out and they continue to do what they were doing before. There's that revolving door. But these courts, theoretically, the idea is these dockets, specialty courts, they are, if they're working properly and if the person is participating in the way that they should, hopefully the goal is that they get the treatment they need and they are rehabilitated, they are reformed. And so they come out and they're less likely to recommit. So that is one way that I think the judicial system can address recidivism. Another way is by education, and I already talked about the clinics in the community, educating people on the court system, on their rights, on things like that. I think that that's very important.
I love how you said that. And I think what you're saying is really important, especially for a judge to really be in touch with the needs of the community and know the educational gaps of their constituents so that they can fill in those gaps, so that they can make people aware of the services that are available that are not talked about as much. You know, we're talking about the mission of justice, right? And a lot of people look at the court systems and they don't really differentiate justice from what's fair, right? What's legal from what's ethical. And sometimes I think that gets confused in our minds. But I think I love how you said that education is a big part of what you do, because myself being the creative learning leader that I am, I really like the educational piece and making sure that people understand legal terminology. And thank you for breaking that down about recidivism, because people don't know that term a lot of times. And so simple things like that can help people so that they can have a little bit more flexibility and learn more about what's going on in the world around them, even as a voter, right? To know what divisions of communities are, to understand who you're voting for and why. All of those types of things are super important. And as you were talking, Jessica, I was thinking about this one verse in the Bible, and I'm going to read it. It's Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17. Learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. I feel like that's a really good description of your life and what you've been doing for people. You've been teaching and learning people to do well, do better, right? Seeking judgment, because judgment, justice, fairness, those are terms that can get very misconstrued in people's minds. And especially when we talk about what's right and wrong when it comes to things of religion versus what's right and wrong in people's own minds. Because, somebody could be out here and doing what they think is right per se, but it's hurting someone else. Can you speak to the difference between justice and fairness, right and wrong, and some of those legal and ethical implications?
Yes, definitely. Yes. So I will say this, that I think that when we talk about justice, and sometimes we hear people say like our justice system like isn't fair, or it misses the mark, it doesn't get it right. And I do agree with that. And depending upon the circumstances and then things of that nature. So I think that as a society, one of the things that we have to be cognizant of and paying attention to are the laws that are being made, because the law is made and then it is upheld and then it is enforced and interpreted. And so the justice system is going to basically interpret the law. Like, it's going to say, this is the law and you were found guilty of this. And so therefore, this is the consequence. The justice system doesn't create the laws, essentially is what I'm trying to say. So we're given the laws, and then we are the ones that have to uphold it and carry it out, essentially by the facts that are presented to us. So when we're talking about an unjust system, I think it does have to do with it's all a part of the system. So it's also about the laws that are being made, so the legislatures that are making it, and the things that are getting passed by our executive branch, our mayors, our governors, and things like that. I think that all of that plays a part in the judicial system. And so I think that that plays a part when we hear people say like something isn't fair. I think a lot of times we hear those cases where we'll say like that wasn't right. That should not have been the outcome, and we get enraged or we're upset or whatever because we're judging it based off of our moral compass or what we believe, our social norms in society. But the law is written the way that it's written. And until we are able to have laws that are written in a way that serve the people in the way that they're supposed to be served, I think that we'll always have that tug of war, and that look at the law and seeing the uncertainty or the unfairness sometimes that we see sometimes in the law. And I think that at the end of the day, the law that we know in our society was built around morality, right? Like, don't kill. And a lot of those moral rules come from the Bible.
Yeah.
So, like, thou shalt not kill. We look at the 10 Commandments that shaped a lot of how our laws got in place. So there is a level of morality in our legal system, and there is a level of right versus wrong in our justice system. But I think too that sometimes once it gets through the system of all the players, some things can become murky. And I think that at the end of the day, it's the people, the voters, the constituents. Those are the ones that hold the elected officials accountable. I know that there have been many times when something happened in society, either, and usually it was through a court system because I'm an attorney. So I know the court system, the cases, I'm studying them, I'm following them. Something happens that I don't agree with. I think it was unfair. I think it was unjust. I tend to go back and look at what role did the governor have in that? What role did my mayor have in that? What role did my state representative have in that? And if they supported the thing that I felt was unfair, I'm maybe not, I may change the way I vote, you know, like, and I may look for those people who share in my stance as far as the laws that I'm trying to have upheld. Because I think the judicial system starts with the laws, and then the court comes involved when it's time to implement and uphold that law.
I completely
Yeah, because
agree.
it's easy to look on TV and say, hey, that wasn't right, or what they did wasn't correct, and why did they choose that? But literally, you're just following what the law says for that case. And it's not even your opinion. Like you said, you have to try to be non-biased in a role like that. And that can be really hard. I mean, just being a member of a jury, like I've done before, and it's like, wow, I can't be biased. I have to uphold the law. And that's something that a lot of people don't get when they watch the news and they just hear the result of a court case and they're like, well, that wasn't right. So I can kind of see both sides of that coin. But as a future judge, that's going to be something that really you have to grapple with, like, emotionally, right? Because it's going to be something that you're going to have to sleep with, those decisions that you make. And we all kind of find ourselves in that place in life where we have to make some decisions that could be hard, that are going to affect other people. And did I make the right decision? So thank you for answering that. That was very insightful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It makes me think about my mom and how she would take me to vote with her. And I loved how you talked about making decisions based on how people act once they're in the position that they've been elected to. And so we would always look through and study and decide the different things that came up on the ballot and the different individuals. And she would take me, even as a young child, to watch. I didn't know what was going on in the beginning, but to watch her fill in her ballot. And so I take my children to do that now because I feel like it's so important to pass that on. And so when you specifically said, watch what people are doing, watch what your elected officials are doing, and make your decisions, make your choices, research to see who aligns with what you believe. Like, I love the fact that so many of the things, pretty all of the things that you do align with what I believe. So it gives me the peace and the knowledge to say, you know what? I have no issue voting for you, right? To literally tell others to vote yes for Jess, to literally say that to people and be able to mean it, because I've watched the history, even what we've talked about here and what I've seen you share throughout the community. It is someone who really believes in justice, someone who really believes that there can be more for individuals other than the poor choices that they've made. Like, there's other options and there's ways to support and assist them in multiple ways, to literally look at them as human beings in a holistic way and choose to care about them. I love that. I love when you talk about how when people come before your bench, you have the ability to care about them as a human being. Like, that's a huge thing to me that I feel is missing oftentimes when people come before elected officials and or are asking elected officials to think through something or to do something that they said they would do when they were running, right? And so I love the fact that you're running on all of these things that align with what you've been doing all of these years. Like, you're not switching gears in midstream, but you're literally continuing the journey of what you've been doing all along and just growing the reach to support and to help a larger grouping of people, larger communities of people. I'm enamored with that. Like, I absolutely love that. So we thank you so much for all that you've been sharing, and more that I would love to even dig into as I talk about my mom. And as we mentioned a little bit earlier about your family and how you have pulled many of the values, right, that you're sharing, the things that you're doing in the community from them. I would love to highlight your parents. Like, man, you are bringing so many things, I believe, from what you've grown up with and from what you've seen. And even as you shared about your brother, like, I think that is just so wonderful that you have that repertoire and that base to pull from to support others in the communities that are dealing with that and their families. Like, you understand because you lived it, right? But what can you share with us about your parents and how you're bringing their life and their relationship to what you're doing now as becoming a judge?
Yes, definitely. I love my parents. I do want to really quickly, though, you said a couple things, Dr. Tomesha, when you were talking, and I just want to touch on them. So when you were talking about having compassion in the courtroom, that's something that's very important to me. And having been a prosecutor, so I've been on the other side of the courtroom where I'm presenting evidence to the court, and then having worked for the court, and now I saw that side where I was working for a judge and I was a part of the judicial staff. And so I know the ins and out of court. And one of the things in my 10 years of being an attorney, I have come to understand that sometimes there is a lack of respect um, for the defendant. And even just in the courtroom in general, you know, one of the things that my sister always says, and I really, every time she says it, it like touches me. My sister always says, the true mark of a person's character is how they treat someone who can do absolutely nothing for them. So this is someone that could never, they couldn't give you any money, they couldn't help you in any way. How do you treat them on your day to day when you're walking past them, when you see that homeless person outside on the corner? Even if you don't give them money, it's in your approach, you know, because some people have that policy of like, you know, I'm not going to do whatever. But it's in how you approach them and how you look at them. And that's just the common respect, the common courtesy. Um, so that's something that I hope, and it is something that I work towards, that when I'm elected, that I am respectful to everyone. I think that there is a balance where you can be respectful and have compassion, but still hold someone accountable for their actions. So I don't want it to seem like I would be a court where people just come in and they get off and they're never held accountable. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You've committed a crime. We're going to apply the facts to the law, and we're going to have a just outcome. But while I am speaking to you and while you're standing before me, you are still an individual. You are a creation of God. And I'm going to speak to the God in you, because I understand you're in a temporary situation that should not define your eternity. It shouldn't define your forever, right? So my goal as the elected official is to figure out, how can I get you from here to where how can I get you from where you are to where I see you? So my goal is to see you whole, to see you a responsible citizen in society. And how can I get you there while addressing where you are right now? And that I got, like I said, from my sister. She says that all the time. And from my parents. So my dad, like I said, is a pastor. My mother works with a local church. She is out feeding the homeless. They go downtown Cleveland. They're giving out clothes. You should see her house. Okay, it's a lot of clothes, a lot of food. Like, oh my gosh, you have so much stuff in here. But it's for the community that she serves. That's her mission, is touching lives. And you know, I've seen it through my parents as they pastored. One of the things that we didn't understand when my brother was bipolar, we didn't understand what was happening. This was in the early 2000s when he was diagnosed, and it was taboo. People didn't talk about it. But what I didn't know was that that would later become our ministry, that we would be able to encourage parents. I remember there was a time where one of my parents' church members came over to our house. It was like an emergency visit. She was in tears because she couldn't reach her son. who has a mental health condition. And my parents were able to pull from their experience with my brother and say, listen, this is how you address this. This is how. So our pain became ministry.
Wow.
And so that is something that I learned from my parents. I learned how to be grateful in every situation, how to rejoice, how to find the good. I am an optimistic person. I am an optimist. I'm even if I'm down, I'm bouncing back. I'm going to
Coming
find the
back.
good
You're
and
going to come
something
back.
that yes,
I
yes.
love that, Jess.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? I would hope that anybody standing before any judge in any courtroom would have somebody that is compassionate, right? Because that's important. I love how you said you're planning on seeing the good in them, And I think that's what anybody would hope for. Like, I didn't mean it, please let me off or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what everybody wants, is somebody who's going to see your point of view. But as you also said, there's a respect factor and there's also your job. Like, you have to do your job. And if you deserve a punishment, it's coming to you because you reap what you sow, right? That's going to happen. So I'm so excited that our audience is here with us. And you know what, guys? I did my homework. On Jess, and I found out that your father, along with being a pastor, was also a United States Army veteran, and just perhaps, some of that part of military service rubbed off on you as well. Just the respect factor, the justice piece, the compassion for community, and the caring for people. Because I can imagine how a daughter of a veteran, and thank you for your service, sir, because you're probably watching too. I can imagine how that would affect somebody who's going to be a future judge, right? Tell us about that part and how that's made an impact on you.
Definitely. Yes. I thank my dad for his service. I really do, because it shaped a lot of my opportunities in life. For instance, I was born in Germany. My dad was in the army. We were stationed in Germany. I was born in Nuremberg, Germany. And I lived there till I was 13. So I had that whole experience of starting my life off in a whole nother country, which was amazing, Um, I was able to go to college because of my father's service. The way that a lot of the choices that he made early on in life benefited me. So I am very grateful. Growing up in a military base, you learn structure. You learn community. Community is so important on military base. And you learn service. I would see the soldiers who literally sacrificed their lives. I remember I was a little girl. One of my friends, I remember her father was killed in battle. And that's one of my faint memories. I just remember going to the funeral. I was probably like 7, maybe, or maybe even younger than that. I might have been 5. And I remember how everyone pulled together. I remember the love that was expressed on the mother and how everyone just stepped up and did what they could to help that family. And I remember that he was a hero. Like, I just remember thinking, knowing that he died serving his country. That is the ultimate sacrifice. And I just was so grateful that I was able to know him and for his life. So the military shaped me definitely. I didn't serve in it. I was just a child of someone who did. But yet and still, my entire life was blessed because of my dad's service to the United States Army.
Wonderful. And we thank him for his service as well. So your slogan is vote yes for Jess. So tell the people why we should vote yes for Jess. What sets you apart from all the other candidates? What is their reason why they're going to go to the polls and check your name off?
Yeah, so I would say maybe 3 main reasons. Number one, I am qualified and experienced. I just talked about being an attorney for 10 years, but I have been in the legal profession for 20 years. I started at the age of 16 working as a legal secretary. I went through a vocational program, Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, where it trained me and equipped me to work in law firms. So I know the law. I've been working in the law since I was 16. From being a legal secretary, I went on and did paralegal work. Then I went to law school and became an attorney. And I've already talked about my resume as a county prosecutor, judicial staff attorney, director of court services, and personal bailiff. I'm qualified. Another reason why I would say you should vote for me is because I am committed to the communities that I intend to serve. I am a public servant. It's not what I'm trying to be. I already am that. Whether I win or not, that will not change. So I have volunteered throughout my career. I continue to do that even now. I volunteer at local food banks in my community. I still volunteer as a Sunday school teacher and youth mentor. So I'm actively engaged. I am a public servant. And lastly, I believe that you should vote for me because I believe I'm the best candidate for the job. I have a heart for the community. I believe that I can create real change in our community. I believe I'm going to be able to do something that the court has never seen before. I believe I'll be able to impact the community in a unique way. And it's a way, something that is needed. I think I'll be able to help the needs of the community. I believe that I'm called for it and equipped for it, and I'm ready to do it. So with that, I humbly would ask you to vote yes for Jess on November 7th. Thank you.
I love your confidence. I love it. That's what you want in a candidate. Like, I am the woman for the job. I love that. What about you, Dr. Tomesha?
Woo, honey. Now you know already. I'm like, whoa. I loved all of the things that you laid out right there. The confidence for me was what brought it home, right? Because we've already talked about so many of the ways that you are living out and have lived out what you're talking about, who you care for, who you attend to, why you continue to do what you do. 20 plus years. What? You have truly decided to make this a career of the heart. Like, you truly are walking in a purpose that you believe you have been called to. And this truly shows what we talk about here on ministry on mission all the time. It is living out what you've been called to do as you make way for the Lord's return. Like, this is amazing to me, to be introduced to yet another individual and to be able to share with you yet another individual who is literally living this out every day. You all, have you heard her from prosecutor? What? When I first heard that, I said, you were a prosecutor? Like, I did not know that before before talking with her, before reading her bio. And I would encourage you all to make sure that you visit her website, that you join her on social media so that you can really look into what she's been sharing with you. And for those of you that are like, you know what, I don't need to look at anything else. I don't need to study any more stats. I don't need to hear another thing. I already have made my decision. I know what I want to do. I am saying yes to Jess. Here's what I say to you. I found out from a little birdie that she also has an event coming up. And I noticed she didn't mention anything about that, but you know we cannot go off of here today without sharing a way for you all to actually connect with her in person, let alone if you see her out in public, let alone if you see her working in her job supporting the community. No. You actually get a chance to come together and make some time to connect with her August 17th. Yes, you get to meet with her from 5 to 7. She's going to be at the UA Local 120 Pipe Fitters. She's going to be there, right? So it's in Cleveland. You guys have an opportunity. You can check her website. You can go to her social media pages. But all you need to do is get a ticket to go, and therefore supporting her campaign. You're going to have an opportunity to enjoy some amazing music from a man that I have loved watching over the years, Alvin Frazier, who will be sharing his musical selections with everyone that comes. And it is your opportunity to endorse this Democratic candidate that has been endorsed for judge in Garfield Heights for their municipal court. Now, come on, guys. It's her fundraiser, and it gives you an opportunity to support the work that you desire to see in the community. You've heard her speak of so many different things that she's had an opportunity to partake in, to glean from, to learn from, and then wrap back around and bring into the community to help us, right? To help us as a community to grow, to thrive, to be encouraged. So, Jessica Alvis, Esquire, as we wind down for today, what would be something that you would like to leave us with that would help propel us into the future as we make great choices, as we get out and vote? Which, by the way, I love the fact, you all, on her social media, that she actually gives you ways to go and vote and encourages you to get out and vote. And it's not just saying, vote for me, but it literally is saying, stand up, learn about it, take a stance, and go vote for those individuals that align with your beliefs. I love that. That's my side note. But Jessica Alvis, Esquire, what would you leave for us today to encourage us and lift us and encourage us to continue to walk out our ministries as we finish this mission?
Yeah, definitely. So, what I would say to anyone listening, any of your viewers, I would encourage you to continue to listen to the voice of God. And when He tells you to go, I would tell you to say yes. When I just said yes to God, He told me He was looking for an opportunity to shine His glory, an opportunity to flex, an opportunity for His name to be made great. And that's really what He wants in all of our lives, right? He created us, put us on this earth for us to serve Him, for us to love justice and to do good and to love others. And when we do that, we give Him honor and we point the world back to Him. So I would encourage your viewers to, if you're in that place of looking for purpose, looking for your mission, I would encourage you to talk with God and ask Him, what is it? And then do it with your whole heart. I would also encourage your voters to vote, or your listeners to vote. You matter. Your vote definitely matters. Please vote. Please read about your opponents. Google them. Find out what they stand for. Don't just elect someone because of their name. Don't just elect someone because they've been there 10 years. What have they done in those 10 years to serve the community? They are a public servant. Please, please, please be an educated voter and vote, vote, vote. So thank you so much, Dr. Anita. Thank you, Dr. Tomesha. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to your viewers. It was such a blessing, and I really enjoyed myself today. Thank you.
We are so delighted about Micah 6:8, right? About the doing justice and loving mercy. I love that verse. And so we thank you, audience, for participating with us today for Ministry on Mission, where we educate, where we equip, and where we encourage women. And today we have truly equipped you to vote. So now that you are equipped, go out and start that ministry and finish that mission. Until next time, bye.